Hello and welcome to our channel. We're going to tell you a story. My name is Hania, and this is the story I never thought I would tell. A story of love, trust, betrayal, and regret. I thought marriage would bring me happiness. I thought love would protect me, but I was wrong. I was 24 when I met Ahmed. He was 30, confident, successful, and charming. I was a quiet girl from a small town who had never truly experienced love. He walked into my life like a prince from a dream. He was kind to my parents, always respectful, and he knew how to make me laugh. He said all the right words and made me feel like I was the only woman in the world. My parents liked him immediately. My friends said I was lucky. I believed them. I didn't know much about him, but I thought love didn't need a background check. I married him after only 2 months of knowing him. The wedding was beautiful. I wore a white dress with silver lace, and my eyes were full of tears of joy. He held my hand during the ceremony and whispered, "I will always take care of you, Hania." I believed him. The first few weeks were magical. He brought me flowers every Friday, took me out for dinners, and sent me sweet messages during the day. I felt like I was living a fairy tale. Every time he looked at me, I felt special. Every time he touched my hand, my heart skipped a beat. But slowly, the colors of my dream began to fade. He started coming home late. When I asked him where he had been, he would smile and say, "Just work, love." I wanted to believe him, so I did. I told myself that he was working hard for our future. Then, he stopped bringing flowers. The sweet messages disappeared. Dinners turned into silence at home. His eyes no longer held that spark. When I tried to talk, he seemed annoyed. One night, he came home drunk. I had never seen him like that before. He threw his shoes at the door and collapsed on the sofa. "Ahmed?" I asked, worried. He looked at me with cold eyes. "Don't ask questions," he said harshly. The next morning, he apologized. He said it was a mistake and it wouldn't happen again. I forgave him. I loved him. But it did happen again. More than once. The man who once kissed my forehead now shouted at me for small things. The man who once held my hand now pushed it away. I cried silently in the kitchen, in the bathroom, even in bed while he snored peacefully beside me. I couldn't understand what had gone wrong. I told my mother once, and she said, "Men are like this sometimes. Just be patient." But patience is a strange thing. It teaches you to stay silent even when your soul is screaming. One day, I found a message on his phone. A woman had sent him a heart emoji. I froze. When I showed it to him, he snatched the phone and laughed. "Don't be dramatic," he said. "She's just a colleague." But deep inside, something broke. That night, I couldn't sleep. I stared at the ceiling and remembered the girl I used to be, the girl who smiled without fear, who believed in love. That girl was disappearing. A few weeks later, I discovered the truth. He had been seeing someone else for months. A woman named Sana. I found pictures, chats, and even hotel bookings. My world collapsed. When I confronted him, he didn't deny it. He just said, "You're boring, Hania. Sana understands me." That sentence crushed me. I locked myself in the bathroom and cried for hours. I couldn't breathe. My hands were shaking. My heart felt like it was bleeding. How could the man who promised to love me forever call me boring? I thought about leaving. I packed my bag. But then I remembered my family, the shame, the questions, the whispers. I was scared. I stayed. But every day felt like I was dying a little more. He didn't care. He came and went as he pleased. He laughed on the phone with her in front of me. I became invisible. One day, I stood in front of the mirror and didn't recognize myself. My eyes had lost their shine. My smile had disappeared. I was a stranger in my own life. I remember sitting on the balcony one rainy evening, hugging my knees, and whispering to myself, "I regret marrying him." It was the first time I said it out loud, and it was the truth. After that rainy evening on the balcony, something in me changed. I stopped waiting for his love. I stopped hoping for the man I once married to return. I began to understand that love, real love, should never make you feel like you're not enough. But leaving was not easy. There were nights when I cried silently into my pillow, hoping he'd notice my pain, hoping, just once, he'd ask me if I was okay. But he never did. His life moved forward while mine stood still. He went on trips, smiled in pictures, and posted selfies with captions like living my best life. And I was just existing. One evening, as I served dinner, he looked at me and said, "You know, Hania, you're lucky I let you stay here." Something in me snapped. Lucky. I had given him everything. My youth, my dreams, my heart. And now I was supposed to feel grateful just to be near him? That night, I opened my laptop and searched for jobs. I hadn't worked since marriage, but I had a degree. I had skills. And more than anything, I had a reason now. I wanted my life back. A week later, I got a small job at a bookstore. It wasn't much, but it felt like freedom. I started waking up with purpose again. I made new friends. I smiled, genuinely smiled, for the first time in months. At first, Ahmed didn't care. Then one day he saw me laughing on a call with a coworker and asked coldly, "Who's that?" "No one you know," I replied calmly. He didn't like that. For the first time, he realized he was losing control. But it was too late. My heart had built walls, not out of anger, but out of survival. He started acting nicer, bringing me gifts, asking about my day, but I saw through it all. His sweetness had no soul. It was guilt, not love. Then one morning, I found a letter slipped under our front door. It was from Sana. She had written, "He's lying to both of us. He told me you were separated. I just found out you're still married. I'm sorry. I had no idea." My hands trembled as I read it, but I wasn't shocked, just tired. I looked at him that evening and said, "I want a divorce." He laughed at first. "You leave me? You'll be nothing without me." But this time, I wasn't afraid. "No," I said, "you'll be nothing without me, because I gave you loyalty, love, and chances. And you threw them all away." He screamed, threw a glass, called me names, but I didn't flinch. My tears were dry now. My heart, finally, was protecting itself. The next week, I moved out. I stayed with a friend from work who welcomed me with warm food and open arms. It felt strange at first, sleeping in a new bed, walking on unfamiliar floors. But every breath felt lighter. My parents were shocked, disappointed. But when they saw my eyes, how broken I had become, they said nothing. Only my mother whispered, "You did the right thing." Months passed. The divorce papers were signed. His chapter in my life was finally closed. But healing is never simple. There were nights I felt lonely, scared, unsure. I missed the idea of love. I missed the version of him I had once loved. But I kept reminding myself that man never really existed. I had fallen in love with a mask. I started journaling. Writing helped me understand my pain, helped me forgive myself. Because for a long time, I blamed myself. Maybe I wasn't good enough. Maybe I should have tried harder. But with time, I saw the truth. No one deserves betrayal. No one deserves emotional abuse. And love should never feel like punishment. One evening, as I walked home from work, it started to rain. I didn't run. I let it fall on my face. I closed my eyes and smiled. Not because everything was perfect, but because I was free. A few weeks later, I was invited to speak at a women's event. They asked me to talk about courage. I stood on that stage, looked at the crowd, and said, "Courage is not about fighting dragons. Sometimes, it's just about walking away from the things that are killing you silently. Sometimes, it's about saving yourself." The applause brought tears to my eyes. I wasn't just surviving anymore, I was living. Years have passed since that chapter of my life. I have my own apartment now. I run a small business. I wake up with peace in my heart. Sometimes people ask me, "Do you regret marrying him?" And my answer is always the same: yes. But I don't regret leaving, because that marriage taught me the most important lesson of all: never lose yourself for someone who wouldn't search for you if you were lost. I am Hania, and though I once regretted marrying him, I will never regret choosing myself. I hope you enjoyed this story. Have you ever experienced? Share your stories with us in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories and adventures. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.